Welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. Just had a great conversation with Lieutenant General Jerry Bacon about the explosion all over the Mideast. And I'm looking right here. This is from the Atlantic Monthly, a map of Muslim protests around the world. And they've got a map. My guest here in our studio at the Values Voter Summit, Todd Starnes, who you hear his commentaries on AFR Talk every day, works for Fox News Radio. And Todd, I'm looking at this thing, and there are these little markers all over the Middle East: Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt, Turkey, Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, India, all over the place where our embassies or our consulates are under assault.
And Brian, as we heard from the White House earlier today, they say that the White House is assuring Americans that they're not protesting. The Muslims are not protesting because of President Obama. They're not protesting because of Americans. So here's my solution. I think if that's the case, we need to, the president needs to go back over to the Middle East, and he needs to give another one of those speeches. So maybe that'll calm things down, because the first one worked so marvelously.
It worked so well the first time it was tried, yeah. Well, here's let's go to let's grab clip number 4 if we can, Rob. This is the Sarah Palin clip. She was on Fox News talking, I think, with Greta Van Susteren, maybe Sean Hannity, I forget which, but she talks here, Todd, about sort of the consequences of the weakness on the part of President Obama, you know, and General Boykin, when just before he left, just off the record, I mean, he talked with me just about how agitated he is with the policy of this administration, the way it's endangering American lives. And Sarah Palin here, and this is something you monitor, is what goes on in the media, Todd. Talk about the kind of complicity of the media in all of this. Let's listen. Here's Sarah Palin about the media and the Obama administration.
As for this film, as you mentioned in your intro there, that is a red herring, and the media is going along with some in the Obama administration pretending like this is a protest against some phantom video on YouTube. No, it's because the Obama administration dropped the ball, and they have not taken head on this war on terror, and they have adopted a foreign policy of appeasement where our enemies no longer fear us and our friends can no longer trust us.
This isn't,
and the media is going along with this idea, this false narrative of this video being the cause of this chaos.
You know, it's interesting, Todd. You look at all the media is saying, look, what this is about is it's about this this video, and what Sarah Palin said, no, it is much larger than that. This is part of a larger kind of campaign on the part of the Muslim world to criminalize any kind of criticism of Islam.
I think Governor Palin is onto something. I've been talking about this issue for 3 days now in my commentaries, 9 commentaries on this issue, and I think I am just I'm so furious at the way our government has handled this. Look, go back to this idea about the film, Brian. I have not seen this film, but I am sure that it is vile, disgusting, distasteful. But you know what? It's something called free speech. That's the issue here. It is a free speech issue.
And this is a remarkable thing to me, Todd, and I want you to respond to this. We're finding out that the FBI basically launched a manhunt to track down this filmmaker, who, by the way, was a registered Democrat till 2008. But my question is, why is the FBI hunting down a guy that made a movie? Where is the First Amendment? Where's the Constitution in all this?
I'll take you a step further. Yesterday, I reported that the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff called that pastor down in Florida, the anti-Islam guy, and asked him to withdraw his support for this film. If he's able to do that with this pastor in Florida, what's to stop him from calling the pastor of the local First Baptist Church and saying, hey, would you tone down those sermons on gay marriage? Because of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Would you tone that down, please? There are some very disturbing things happening in the free speech realm, and it's not being covered by the national media, and it's sort of being overlooked by the crisis overseas. But, Brian, this is some scary stuff. And let me ask you this. fine. The Obama administration says, you know what, the reason we're doing this is because we condemn anybody that denigrates religious faith. All right, great. So when are they gonna rebuke the people who came out with the Da Vinci Code, or that ABC television show with the word so foul about Christian women we can't even say it on the radio? When is the Obama administration going to come out and condemn those things? When is that going to happen?
Mm-hmm. Well, and you think about the movie The Last Temptation of the Christ. Todd, came out in the late 1970s, Martin Scorsese, and that was blasphemous. It was an insult. That was our prophet as Christians. That was our prophet being depicted in a degrading way on the screen. And, you know, we didn't launch rocket-propelled grenades at Martin Scorsese's studio.
And, Brian, look, the facts are very clear. When the Muslim faith is denigrated, this president speaks out. When the Christian faith is denigrated, this administration stays silent. And I believe we deserve to know why.
You know, and you go back to this thing with the general, because that's particularly alarming to me, Todd, where you have a general. This is a military commander.
The third most powerful man in the military.
And these guys command tanks and men with guns, and he's calling a private citizen to say, I don't even want, and Terry Jones didn't make the movie. He's not marketing the movie. He just said supportive things about the movie, from what I understand. And here's a guy that commands tanks and guns telling a private citizen what he cannot say in the United States of America. That's appalling.
My story, which is on toddstarnes.com, I talked to the general spokesman, and they said, they defended this. They said that, well, we didn't force them to do anything. We just asked them. But I talked to First Amendment experts, people who are not even of the religious faith. They don't have a religious dog in the hunt, so to speak. They said this is outrageously over the line, and this is not some sort of a call your next door neighbor, hey, would you mind doing me a favor? You've got the third most powerful man in the military calling an American church pastor and asking him to censor his free speech. That should send chills down the spine of every single person listening to this show right now.
Well, then we talked out. I talked with Jerry Boykin about this, about these horrendous lapses in security around the Cairo embassy, where, you know, General Boykin, I asked him about this on the break, and he said, well, he believed that those guards at the Cairo embassy did in fact have arms, but you know, we've read stories, credible stories, that the Marines there carried weapons but had no live ammo under orders from the ambassador. In Libya, you had these former SEALs that were providing private security for the ambassador, but they were not armed. It just makes them sitting ducks.
Look, back when we were attacked years ago under the Reagan administration, when Libya launched the attack, what happened? Reagan fired back, sent missiles over there, and guess what happened? They didn't bother us again, and they apologized. But in this particular instance, the president, or his administration rather, has gone out of their way to at least give what certainly looks to me like an apology to the people that attacked us. And it's just not flying with the American people.
Let me play a sound bite. Let's grab the Hillary Clinton bite if we can, guys. Rob, if we can grab clip number 2. Well, let's play this first one, Todd, because the president, as you're aware, came out and said that Egypt is neither an ally nor an enemy, and that just wigged everybody out. You know, it's interesting to see the media try to cover for the president, because they were accusing Romney of a gaffe this and a gaffe that, and here's a major faux pas. And so here is a State Department representative out there the next day trying to clean up the damage. It's the leader of the free world, the president of the United States. He's the one that said Egypt is neither an ally nor an enemy. And here's a State Department official trying to clean that up. Let's listen to clip 1.
Egypt is an ally. It's a major non-NATO ally.
Correct.
And you neglected to mention that. And that major non-NATO ally status is something that you guys have celebrated ever since the 70s, when they were among the first batch of countries, along with Israel, to get that distinction. So is Egypt an ally, or is it not an ally? And if it is not an ally, in the sense of the word, in the sense of being a major non-NATO ally, is Israel not an ally either? Is Japan not an ally?
Well, Japan has a treaty
so
alliance
other
with the United
countries
States.
of Pakistan and India that don't have mutual defense treaties with the United States, they're major non-NATO allies, but you guys don't really think they're allies. Is that the message you're trying to send? Because that's the message the president did last night, unless you've decided that Egypt no longer qualifies as a major non-NATO ally.
Well, that was certainly, I don't think, the intention. I'm going to refer you to the White House for further parsing on this.
So forget about the president's words. You're saying that the administration, the State Department, still regards Egypt as a major non-NATO ally, and it is still a recipient of all the privileges that entails.
Yes.
So, I mean, Todd, you got a representative of the State Department out here contradicting her own boss, the President of the United States. She's saying it is an ally. President Obama is saying, no, it's not.
Oh, yeah, and look, the parsing of the words here. Look, earlier today, the White House told reporters there was no, quote, actionable intelligence in advance of the embassy.
And that was in reference to the fact that there was reason to believe that they had noticed 48 hours beforehand that an attack was imminent.
Yeah, look, that's not the only place there was no actionable intelligence. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So, well, what do you, and Todd, you've been doing your commentaries for the last couple of days on this. I want to ask you one question about the Paul Ryan speech. Maybe I could shift to that. Did you have a chance to hear his speech today, first of all?
I did have a chance to hear it.
You know, the thing that struck me, this is completely shifting gears here, but I want to get your take on it because you're a pretty sharp guy. I was struck by the fact that I thought Paul Ryan's speech was great.
Yeah. Great
on the Constitution. It was great on national security. It was great on sanctity of life. But just a passing reference to marriage. And I was kind of alarmed by that, actually, and wondered if maybe the directive to avoid the topic came from the top of the campaign.
That's a great question. And one of the things that I noticed was that Mitt Romney was invited to come and speak here and turned down the opportunity to speak in front of these values voters. That concerns me as well. I think at the end of the day, the thing that concerned me most about Paul Ryan's speech is I believe it should have been all about what's happening in the Middle East. Otherwise, what he said, we've heard over and over again. But you know, I thought he did a good job. But I would have liked to have heard more from what's happening in the Middle East.
Well, and that becomes the question, I think. Does this administration, does Mitt Romney really get it on Islam, and is he really committed to marriage?
He should have delivered the speech Bachmann did.
That's correct. All right, our guest has been Todd Starnes, commentator on Fox News Radio. You hear his commentaries every day right here on AFR Talk. Todd, thanks for sitting in. Great to see you again, my friend. God bless you, and have a great rest of the day. Focal Point AFR Talk. We'll be right back after the news. Stay with us.